Okay, now we're going to cover up section 2.3 and 2.4 together. And what I mean by average speed, and what I mean by average velocity. Okay, just again, little reminder, speed represents a scalar value. Velocity represent a vector value. So scalar just show me value, vector show me value and direction. I'm gonna start in simple example, just only one rule, you have to memorize it. Let's say for example I have a person standing, let's say for example here now in Cadmus, let's say in Cadmus, and this guy he wants to go to another place, let's say for example the Hook Mall. Let's say for example the distance from Cadmus to the Hook Mall, let's say for example, just I'm putting numbers in general, let's say for example is 10 kilometers. And if someone moves from Cadmus to the Hook Mall, let's say for example it takes with him 30 minutes, or I can say for example 0.5 hour. So what's gonna be its speed? Speed in physics represent distance over time. Sometimes speed represented by s above a dash. Distance is d, here is time. So it's gonna be just the division of, that's complete. Okay, distance covered is 10 kilometers divided by time taken is 0.5 hour. Use calculator. So it's gonna be 20 kilometer per watt per hour. That's what I mean by speed. As you can see, in speed, I did not mention direction. I did not tell you he just moved from Cadmus to the Hook Mall, but I did not say he moved to the right of Cadmus, to the left of the Cadmus, to the south, to the north, east, west, nothing. Now, what the difference between over here, for example, let's get about velocity. Velocity can represent same value. Velocity represents same value. But velocity over here, sometimes we give it a letter A, V, is displacement over time. Okay, what's the difference? Okay, this displacement gonna be so beneficial when we talk about a number line. I'm gonna give you example after this. So displacement represent direction. Let's go for example now. Let's get back to the same idea of triangle over here. Someone moved it from A to B to C, then over here we have a D. Here is 30, here is 40 meters. So what gonna be is speed. What gonna be, for example, is velocity. So speed gonna be distance over time. And let's assume the time taken for moving from A, then to B, then to C, time taken is for example 0.5 hour. What should be the difference? So speed is just gonna be distance over time taken. So distance gonna be 30 plus 40 over time. Let's say for example 0.5 hour. 0.5 hour here is in meter. Or let's make it in kilometer. Here is kilometer. I'll talk later about conversions. So 30 plus 40 gonna be 70 kilometer divided by time taken 0.5 hour. Using calculator gonna be 70 is equal to 140 kilometer per hour. Here's the speed, I mean the speed. Now what should be the velocity? Velocity is displacement over time. Pay attention, displacement. Again, displacement is what I care about, start and end. Okay, I started from point A moving. Finished at C, so I moved from A to C. So displacement over here gonna be AC. Above, distance was AB plus BC. Here this displacement represents AC divided by time. And of course, again, get displacement by Pythagorean over here. So radical 30 squared plus 40 squared. So AC over here represent 50 kilometer divided by, same idea, 0.5 hour. So 50 divided by 0.5 gonna give me 100 kilometer per hour. Here's the difference between speed and velocity. Here's by calculation. But if I talk about an idea about it, what does this represent value mean? Let's say, for example, I have a guy over here also coming back from his school. Here we have a school. Here we have, for example, house. Let's see, while moving on the road, his speed was, for example, 6 kilometer per hour. Okay, so what gonna be the speed? What gonna be the velocity? Over here, speed represent only value gonna be 6 kilometer per hour. But if I told you that this guy moved from school to the house, to his house, to the right, yeah, for example, his house was to the right of the school. Since over here I included direction, this form becomes value 6 kilometer per hour. This positive sign, of course, let's assume from back again, what assume by positive sign? Let's take everything move to the right, it's positive. So velocity represent is moving at 6 km per hour to the right with respect to the school. Okay, let's say, for example, same idea, let's take everything move to the right is positive. Let's say this guy back second day, he woke up and came back from his house to his school, also acquiring same speed. What gonna be its a speed, or what gonna be it is velocity? Speed gonna be the same, 6 kilometer per hour, but velocity here, the one that changes. Velocity gonna be minus 6 kilometer per hour. Why? Because over here I suppose everything moved to the right is what, positive. But since this guy moved from house to the school opposite to the one I chosen, you can choose it whatever you can. Opposite to it, so minus represent just opposite direction.